On this show, we cover some sensitive topics.
Though the obituaries may be outlandish, the people are real.
Names have been changed or omitted in order to respect both the deceased and the survived by.
While death is no laughing matter, some petty last words can provide some pretty entertaining comic relief.
Welcome to Obituary. Welcome back to Obituary. I'm Spencer Henry.
And I'm Madison Reyes.
And Geoffs, we have the ultimate surprise. We had the honor of interviewing the one, the only Rosie Grant, the face behind
Ghostly Archive.
And we are obsessed with all of her content, as you guys are, because you send us her videos all the time. Rosie is most known for sharing her recreations of recipes that are found on tombstones. And we are just so excited. We had such a blast talking to Rosie. And
to say we love her is an understatement.
Obsessed.
She is one of us.
Yeah.
Okay, Geoffs, she is so cool. She is so kind.
So down to earth. Should have never given us her number because she's going to hear from us.
She's not going to get rid of us. We love her.
We love her so much.
And a wealth of knowledge, too.
So much knowledge. And we're so excited because Rosie's book is coming out in October and it's available for pre-order now. So we're going to link that in the show notes. But we are just so excited. Her enthusiasm for the death space is unparalleled. And just getting to sit and hang out with her was an incredible experience.
We didn't want it to stop.
No.
It went on and on. We didn't want it to stop.
I know, and it went for a long time even after hitting stop record. But that's just for us to hear. But what is for you to hear is our episode with Rosie. So without further ado, here it goes. Okay, Geoffs, we are so excited to be joined by Rosie today. We already told you guys all about her before she joined us, but Rosie, thanks for being here.
Oh my gosh, such an honor. Thank you.
We were talking just candidly before we started recording, but we get sent your videos all the time on a daily basis. And so I feel like everyone is going to be as excited as we are that you're with us today.
I feel exactly the same. And I was saying that I also get sent y'all's episodes of being like fun death fact, like you have to check out what they just talked about. And so it was meant to be. Thank you so much.
It was.
The crossover everyone needed.
Yes.
Yes. This is our Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes, that's what it
love
feels
that.
like. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. Okay, so first of all, I just have to ask, like, how did this all start? How did you get into the world of gravestone recipes? Like, how did that happen?
Totally. I was trying to be a librarian, and that's how it got started. It was 2020, so the pandemic had just started, and I had just started a master's degree in library science, which had gone online because, it was supposed to be an in-person program, and we needed to do an internship, and all the internships at libraries and archives were closed temporarily for the pandemic, but cemeteries were busier than ever.
Yeah.
I ended up interning in the archives of a cemetery in Washington, D.C., and I, as part of another class, started a TikTok project where they were like, document something and learn how TikTok works. And so my professor was like, you should make your TikTok about your cemetery internship. And I was like, is there an audience for that? And there definitely is.
Yeah.
A lot of death positive, gravestone adjacent. I call this like the little like cemetery TikTok club, and then a bunch of other specifically cemetery creators, and form this like little crew who are all so lovely. It's a lot of like mostly gravestone cleaners.
Okay, so it's kind of like
know.
mom talk, but for
Yes.
like cemetery.
Yeah. They're like, I'll tell you what to do.
That is a reality show that we need.
We do need
Oh
that.
my gosh, that's so, I like the Real Gravestone Cleaners of New York or something.
Yeah, so into that.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
Do you remember, like, what was the first recipe that you ever created or copied off of a gravestone?
Totally. Yeah. So, I mean, when you're like posting on TikTok, a lot of times it's just, in the beginning, I was just featuring the gravestones in my cemetery because I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that there's more than like, skull and crossbones or like mother, father.
Yeah.
And so I started featuring other graves just in Washington, D.C., where I was based, and then kind of around the East Coast of just like any interesting memorial, thinking like, that's so cool. I had no idea. And so there's a woman named Naomi Odessa Miller Dawson who's buried in Brooklyn, New York. And she has this gorgeous, it looks like an open cookbook. And it's the ingredients to her spritz cookies are on the face. It's so
we know
pretty.
The spritz cookies.
Yes. Have y'all made it before?
No. Well, we've seen you
my
make
gosh.
it.
Yes, we've watched you make it, but we haven't made it yet. But we should absolutely try.
I owe you all some cookies for next time
God.
because they're
that.
really good. And the first time I made them, because there's no instructions, it's just the ingredients. So I made it and I posted it and it went like super viral in a way that it was very overwhelming, but also very, I mean, you all might feel this in like how people respond to your like episodes and stuff of like people were so personal about like, oh my gosh, my mom died recently and I make her cookies, and like when I miss my dad I make this food thing of his. And so most of the comments were like very personalized food reflections about death, and it was so beautiful. And it was like I was surprised about how personal everyone was being. So I eventually learned that there were other gravestone recipes, and I started learning about those people. I eventually met with Naomi's family, and we cooked it together.
Wow.
That just gave me chills.
It was really
so
special.
cool.
And her like great grandson is now the family baker. So we like, he was like coaching us through how to make it. And it was with her son who would like, you know, sit at the edge of the counter and watch her pull them out of the oven. And we got to do the same. It was like a very like
so special.
food is, it was so special, and it was very meaningful. And I started doing this really thinking like, oh, I love cemeteries, you know, and there's 3 gravestone recipes, cool. And now I'm up to 50 and I'm like, who would have thought?
Do you find that they are older gravestones that you find the recipes, or is it like a newer thing?
Yeah, is there like a specific decade that you're like, okay, I know that cemetery
Like,
has a
was-
lot of 1960s, so we're going to
These
find a
people.
lot of recipes. Yeah.
No, it's such a good question. The biggest demographic is women in the last 20 years and very heavily North America. And I think like if y'all have ever gone to, or if anyone's gone to like a Midwestern cemetery, you'll be like, oh yeah, that has a gravestone recipe, or that has something, because you'll see anything that was on someone's, like in someone's life will probably end up on their gravestone, from like funny quotes about their cat to like an action scene from a movie they loved, or like the replica of their fishing net, or like literally whatever. It's so fun to see. So recipes just being one of those things. And there's actually three of the women that I know of are still alive. So I actually got to ask them, like, why did you put your recipe on your gravestone? And they were like, I was pretty damn proud of that cookie recipe.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like have you seen any that are like the same recipe that you're like, oh my God, this is a copyright tombstone?
Yeah. It is very funny because like there's the whole phrase of like, she took it to the grave, or like, you can have it over my dead body. The idea of like, and even some people were like, oh, are you allowed to like cook someone else's recipe? And like a protectiveness and like an internal, and the families, as I've been interviewing all of them, have been like, no, they put it there so people can try it.
Yeah.
But some families are very personal and they're like, don't share it. And the number one reason why I've heard about it is because it is like the Betty Crocker, you know, chocolate chip cookies, or the like Duncan High, you know, whatever. Like it was like a very normal recipe, but when the recipe is hidden, it becomes super special. And like, you know, it's only for Christmas that you're allowed to have this and things like that, which Naomi, this first person, she never shared the recipe in life. So people would ask her for it. And she would be like, it was the kind of gist of like, you can have it over my dead body. And literally now, and it's like, it's eventually like, you know, when they were doing pre-planning at, you know, towards the end of her life, her son did ask for her recipe. And they actually got a stand that's meant to be, they have a lot of like pre-carved gravestones. And so they got one that was meant to be for a Bible, and they put the recipe on top of it because it was a spiritual thing for her, like cooking and sharing food. But going back to the question, it's a very recent thing. And I'd say that's mostly because gravestones in general are pretty, like modern ones are very personalized, versus in the past, it would be like one gravestone carver, he'd carve 1,000 of them. They'd get shipped all over the US, and that would be that.
Going back to the recipes, the spritz cookies was the first one that you made. What was the most recent one that you made?
I literally made one yesterday that I just learned about. The woman's daughter reached out and she's like, my mom put her pound cake recipe, which I haven't had a pound cake yet. It's a really good pound cake. Like, I love a classic pound cake. So we had pound cake. And I should have honestly brought it if we, one day we'll meet in person. I will bring all of the recipes.
Okay, so do you have any recipes that you would put on your gravestone?
Yes. So I'm working on a cookbook of recipes right now. And on mine, there's a lot of baked goods, lots of desserts. And I want to have a savory one on mine. And I picked a clam linguine with the white wine sauce that is my favorite to make. I love doing like a homemade pasta, and like I love anything clam based. It's a very nostalgic food for me. How about you both? Would you either of you ever do a recipe on your gravestone? Or I don't know if even you guys would want a gravestone.
Yes, I want to be buried for sure. I told Spencer, and anybody who listens to the podcast knows, I want to be extremely embalmed, and I want to be, like, yes, like extreme embalming. I want to be propped up at my funeral. I want to look alive, and then yes, I want to have a beautiful burial, and I want a headstone. And I was thinking about it, and I have a ranch recipe that we got from one of our favorite restaurants, and it's the Swingers restaurant ranch.
Oh my
recipe.
gosh.
The best ranch.
It's the best
Yes.
ranch, and it's so easy. And, for me, ranch is my absolute favorite everything, but it can go so wrong. And this ranch is perfect. So.
Okay, that is incredible. May you live a long life, but I hope to try it one day.
Yes. Well, I'll send it to you.
Thank you. Yes, please. That's awesome.
I don't know what mine would be. I mean, honestly, one time for our Patreon, we cooked funeral potatoes. And we were obsessed with them. Like, I actually made them before you came over, I remember, Madison, to record.
So good.
And they were so good. We've been obsessed with them ever since. I've literally, I brought them to one of her family's parties. I brought them to my family's Thanksgiving. I feel like it's such a good comfort recipe. So I would probably maybe do my own spin on it, but some type of funeral potato, because I live for a carb. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's so comforting too, and warm.
Talk about Southern or Midwest, like that. It's such a staple for funerals.
Yeah, like a good hot dish at a funeral. We love. Actually, so the recipes that you've seen or that you've come across, what has been like your absolute favorite where you're like, I am putting this in my weekly routine?
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's such a good question. It's been hard because I've really liked all of them. Lots of baked goods, which is great because I love baked goods. The ones that I've made, like one recently that I've made for a lot of friends' birthdays, is a Texas sheet cake, which is like it's another funeral, like a classic funeral food. Partially because, like, similar to funeral potatoes, like in a lot of regions, the Texas sheet cake there's the West Virginia sheet cake. It's basically a chocolate sheet cake, and it's very carb heavy. It has a lot of shelf stable ingredients. It's usually stuff that you'll have in your kitchen anyways. And it feeds a lot of people. It can sit out for a really long time. So if you're like hosting people, and it lasts a decent amount of time, which is great for funerals and I guess everyday life. So that's been a favorite one. And when I make it for birthday parties, it goes away very quickly. So there's a woman named Helen, and it's her Texas sheet cake recipe.
Oh, I love that you know the people who you got the recipes from. You know, you like... Yes, you went and saw the recipes on their headstones, but you took the time and care to like know their story. I think that's so incredible.
Oh, totally. And that's, if anything, been the best part, and I guess the most challenging part is like, I should say a lot of people will reach out being like, how did you learn about this? Like, are you just like wandering in cemeteries? Or are these just everywhere? And I wish that was the case. I think at this point I've been to like 1,000 cemeteries, but I've never just happened upon one. Yeah, the only time that I like have learned about them is people reach out to me. Best case scenario is the family. So the pound cake one was, a family member reaching out. But a lot of times it's just people on the internet were like, oh, I like saw this somewhere. I don't really know any of the details, but here's a photo of it. And then I go like, and then I turn into a crazy person where I make a Google Doc for them. I map it. I like geolocate where it is. I go to Find a Grave, which sometimes Find a Grave like literally has the coordinates of the gravestone itself.
Yes.
You know, like it's pretty crazy. And I know for genealogy purposes, it makes sense. And then I go through their obituary, which a lot of them are listed online. And I reach out to family members on social media being like, hi, I'm doing this. Would you be okay if I try their recipe? And, you know, could they be part of this project? Can I interview you all? And some of the family members go like, I don't know what this is. Is this a scam? Understandably.
Yeah.
And then after like 2 years of thinking about it, they go, oh, you're a real person. Okay, yeah, yes, we can talk about it.
Will you be featuring some of their stories in your cookbook, or what will your cookbook entail?
Tell us about the book. We want to know everything about it.
Oh, absolutely. This is my favorite. Thank you all so much for letting me, because I'm like in the like weeds of it right now. So the cookbook comes out October 7th, 2025, just in time for spooky season.
Are pre-orders out?
The link just became live. The cover was just approved. The cover looks like an old vintage cookbook, because a lot of these recipes are like also featured in vintage cookbooks and like community cookbooks and stuff. So it was inspired by that, and it'll be 39 recipes plus 40, because I am working on my own gravestone recipe right now to like have that up. So it'll end on that. And then, all of them have been approved by the family. So it'll be the story of the person. I have physically visited, other than there's 2 in the Middle East, but other than those 2, I visited every single one of the other gravestones. So it'll be their story, some cases photos of the person. Wow. And yeah. A very strange cookbook.
Well,
that's incredible. It's right up our alley. Yeah.
Oh, man. I'll send y'all a copy. I'll get info afterwards and stuff. Yeah.
We would love that. We will be cooking.
Yes, we will. No, that would be so fun for us to try and make one of the recipes that's in the book. We would love to do that.
To die for a cookbook of gravestone recipes.
To die for. Oh, I love that.
Everyone's so excited.
I hope so. I hope, and the big goal is keeping like the families have been very involved with the process, which has been lovely. And there is actually a ranch recipe, so I would be interested if y'all tried the ranch recipe and let me know what you think of it. It's
that's
good.
The one. That is the one we will make. We'll make that one.
All
and we'll
the
make
different
Madison.
dips. Yes, please.
We'll compare them. I'm happy with a ranch flight.
I love that. A ranch off.
Yeah. Oh my God, all about it. Okay, so you mentioned you've been to over 1,000 cemeteries. What would you say are like your top 3?
Oh man.
And why?
Oh my goodness. Are y'all big cemetery people?
We love a cemetery.
You love a cemetery.
So Madison and I, we used to actually walk around. There was a mausoleum down the street from where I used to live.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
We would go in there and we would just walk around. And like, honestly, that was before we even started the show. We just found it to be so peaceful and beautiful and ornate. And we would get coffee and meet up and just go, that's where we
would just stroll around. Yeah.
I love that so much. And that's so like that's what keeps a cemetery alive. Like it's for the living to go and have this peace and make death maybe in some ways a little less scary. I love that.
Yeah. They actually let us shoot some of our book stuff there.
Oh yeah, we shot our book.
Really? Which cemetery was it?
So it's in Long Beach.
It's a forest lawn.
Oh yeah, because they have the whole. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and it is the most incredible. Like we didn't realize it from the outside, but you walk in and it's stories and stories, and there's a pendulum that swings.
Wow.
It's beautiful, but they have like a really pretty kind of like chapel there, and they let us shoot our book promo way back when. Yeah.
Which is beautiful. I am so obsessed with that. That's awesome. So Forest Line might actually be one of my favorites in general, just because I mean it's I took a history of the American cemetery class, and like Forest Lawn is essentially the start of the memorial park. So when people see like the flat markers and They're a lot easier to take care of. And apparently Disneyland was somewhat based off of the like principles of Forest Lawn. Walt Disney himself is buried at Forest Lawn in LA, one of the other Forest Lawn locations. And just this idea of like, you know, the death industry being very consolidated, of like, you go to Forest Lawn with your, you know, you have a florist, you can get your casket there, you have the chapel there, they have multiple denominations. It's very easy to do caretaking because it's all flat and like it can just be mowed, and like preserving is easier. So from my understanding is Disneyland, of just this idea of like it's an amusement park that has it all, was based off of Forest Lawn Cemetery, which is so cool. Crazy, right?
It is crazy. It just reminds me, we talked about, there's a mausoleum. God, I don't know it off the top of my head, but that's what the Los Angeles City Hall is based off of.
Really?
Oh, that's right. Here, you look that up.
Let me look it up.
I'm curious if you've ever been in Oakland. Is my personal favorite cemetery up in Montclair, like the Piedmont Cemetery that's up there. Have you ever been?
I haven't been. Oakland? I've been. So they're, one of the gravestone recipes is based in Oakland. I think it's St. John's is the name of it. It's a small Catholic cemetery that's up there, but they have like Chapel of the Chimes, which is just this really beautiful. Which one is this one? You said Montclair?
I'm trying to remember the actual name of it. It's in like Piedmont, Montclair area. It's a huge cemetery, and I know that it was designed by the person who had designed Central Park in New York. So it has like a very park-like feel. And my sister and her husband lived in Oakland forever. I grew up in the Bay Area. And we would go walk her dogs there. And just, it's such like a beautiful property. And like Black Dahlia, I think, is actually buried in that cemetery.
Yes. I know exactly. So the cemetery I visited was literally right next to that one. So I remember hearing there was like a plaque for Frederick Olmsted, who designed Central Park. So this is now connecting all the dots. It's crazy, the like landscape architect to cemetery pipeline. They're very smart about it. And yes, Elizabeth is apparently buried there. I'd seen like she's on the Google map. If you like look up the cemeteries around, they have notable burials, and she's like the first one that pops up. I did not visit her, but now next time I'm in Oakland. Have you been to Colma before, the necropolis that's just south of San Francisco?
My dad is actually buried in Colma, but at the a military cemetery, like the
oh my goodness,
like a big military cemetery out there.
Yeah. So you've been out there then, it sounds like.
He's over there,
Visited Dad.
Wait,
yeah.
I found it's the mausoleum at Halicarnassus. It's one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. And if you look it up, like there's a whole story we had talked about on our show before. And if you look at pictures of it, it is the exact replica of the City Hall in Los Angeles. It's wild.
This is why I love y'all's podcast. That is so cool. I had no idea.
Everything leads back. Yeah.
Everything does. It starts and ends with death.
Yeah.
Literally. We find this all the time too. We always talk about, and I want to know what your experience with this is like. When we started the show, obviously, I'm sure like when you started looking for recipes, it's like pretty immediately you find like the same 10 obituaries or whatever. You probably find like the same 10 recipes when you're starting to research it. How did that transition? Did it surprise you, I guess I should say? Because we're always like, how are we still going? How are we still finding obituaries? How are we still finding these topics to talk about? Like, did it really surprise you, like, how many gravestone recipes there are that are out there?
Oh my gosh, it is so that's fun. It's fellow like death record researchers know exactly that experience, because I called them the big 3 of like when I first got started. Even before I was on TikTok or anything, I had seen Naomi with the Spritz cookie in Greenwood, and then Kay, a woman named Kay Andrews. She has a fudge recipe in Utah, and then another woman named Maxine Menster who has her Christmas cookies, and she's in Iowa. And they are everywhere. If you Google gravestone recipes, they would just be popping up. They'd be on Facebook groups. They'd go like, wholesome memes, whatever. Like they were all over the internet. So they were super viral way before I was a part of the, whatever, making gravestone recipes process. When I started making the first 3, I would say like after that, I just started Google searching the rest. And so there was a woman named Bonnie who was buried in Alaska. And then there was another woman who was in Maine, and then another woman in Nova Scotia. So like they were generally like a blog post had featured them. And I think I maybe was just the first TikToker to just, so I wasn't unusual in the fact that I was making them, but I was just the first person to exclusively start doing that. And then after I got to about 7 or 8, then families individually started reaching out to me, and like, or other cemetery TikTokers or people who are just like on the internet. They were like, oh, I hear you like this thing. I happen to know about this other one. And so even like now I still get random DMs from people. Like I just learned this weekend about someone in Amsterdam, which is the first European one. I have known of no other European one so far.
Oh, wow.
And someone's like, I hear that you like this thing. And I'm like, yes, I do. Like, please send me any information you have. Do you all feel like that? Like, how do you research an obituary? Is it like, does it come up in public news? Are you like, deep in ancestry.com kind of thing?
We're deep in like newspaper archives a lot. We're
nice.
Always digging. Also, something kind of similar to you, we get sent so many from, just local newspapers of a listener. And so yeah, there's always an obituary. Always.
Or they're like their family members' obituaries, which is always something really cool to us too. Or people that have written obituaries, unfortunately, for someone since they started listening to the show, and maybe it made them be a little more creative with it, which I think is something that we share with you in the sentiment. Like the most special thing about being in this death adjacent industry is just like death is such a personal thing, but also we say all the time, it's like, yes, there's these experts out there who maybe they have degrees in death science or whatever, but it's like the one thing that we're all going to do is die. So we feel like you can't gatekeep, death. And so I feel like getting to have that like personal connection with people is so special, because I think grief is, as humans, one of the hardest things that we have to deal with, obviously. And like the fact that people A, feel comfortable sharing it with us, but B, feel like the fact that it's even something they want us to talk about, we're like, oh my God, of course, like this is so special. Like,
it's such a privilege.
It's a lot of like, they're entrusting in you to handle it with care, and that's such a big compliment, you know. And same with you with the recipes.
Yeah, it gets a little like, I get one of the family members really sent me through a loop in a good way, where when I first reached out to her, she's a food writer in Minnesota, and she had written about her mother's gravestone recipe. And so I sent her, like, I got a Google alert about it, because I have, of course, gravestone recipes on Google Alert. And so me, like a crazy person, I emailed her and I was like, hi, I have this project and I'm working on this book and I'd love to include your mom. And she was like, let me think about it. And then she was like, are you sure you're the right person to be doing this? And I was like, and it was like a good question, because I was like, am I the right person? And I was like, well, like, I did start this as a librarian, and like, I also had started this, both of my grandmothers passed away during the pandemic. So right when this was getting going, I was at funerals thinking a lot about food and memory with just my own relatives. So, but I was like, does that make me qualified? And I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm not a chef or anything. I just like eating. So and eventually she was like, just putting it out there. And then we eventually met on the call to do the interview. And she said the same thing. She's like, are you sure you're the right person to be doing this project? And I was like, if you have recommendations of someone who would be like a food writer, or like, what do you want, Anthony Bourdain, or like, is there someone else we can bring in? Like, who do you envision for this? And she's like, well, so there's this TikToker who does gravestone recipes and like blah, 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 blah. And I think she's more appropriate to be doing this. And I'm like, oh, Sharon, that's me. But I love that you're defending her because you're right. She should be doing that.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And it was a good question.
Yeah.
Well, it does make you think, because it's like, it is so weird because, I mean, when people ask us, like, oh, what do you guys do for work or whatever, that question comes up all the time, and it's always like the most bizarre thing. It's like, okay, and they'll be like, oh, were you a mortician, or like how did you guys get into this? And it's like, I don't know, we just like to talk. Talk about it. I guess
Need no qualification further than that.
Hey, we all eat, and we all are going to die.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that makes us all qualified.
We are so qualified. No one could be more qualified than the three of us.
Yeah, literally. Okay, wait. And so I have to ask, I need to know, did you bake a lot or cook a lot prior to this? I know you said, like, I'm not a chef, but, like, did you love cooking before? Or did this make you start cooking more maybe than you did? Because, like, I'm a Postmater.
Oh, yeah.
50% of the week, I'll cook dinner sometimes. But, what did that look like for you? And did cooking these recipes change your weekly cooking habits?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Yeah, it definitely impacted so many about the ways that I see food and do cooking. I would definitely say in my life, I was an eater. I love food. I was an English major in college, and I did do creative writing as a minor, and my focus in creative writing was food writing. So I was already in the place of, like, I love food writing. Food memoirs are one of my favorite types. And I just took a lot of, like, coursework in that. I don't know. So the idea of, like, food is everything. And I remember even in undergrad having this conversation with my professor. I'm like, well, food's not everything. Like there's certain taboo, like food and death don't cross over, right? And I was wrong about that.
Right.
Like food and death have a lot of crossover. And I liked cooking. My family is definitely not a recipe type. They're way more of, like, throw everything in the pot and somehow they make it taste good. I was very influenced by, so right when the pandemic started, I feel like when, like so many other people, I finally had free time to really get into cooking. So pre-Gravestone recipes, I had gotten, like, a New York Times cooking subscription, and I was just, like, trying a bunch of stuff. And then since even, it was so good. And then, like, Samin Nosrat's book of, like, salt, acid, fat, heat, like that whole philosophy, so helpful. And then, like, even beyond that, so, like, almost with every recipe, I've learned a lot. So Naomi's recipe, I didn't know what a spritz cookie was. And I got a cookie press. And then after I met with her family, I got an aluminum cookie press. And now I have 4 cookie presses to try to get closer.
Yeah, I didn't know that was even a thing until I
Me
saw your
neither.
TikTok.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
They're so fun. Okay, I'm definitely making you all spritz cookies for one of these times. It's a very enjoyable, like, and you put little cute shapes in them, and so there's that. And I bought an ice cream maker because one of the gravestones is a homemade ice cream, and like some of them have yeast, and I was always very nervous to bake with yeast because I'm like, I'm gonna explode my oven.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, I have to ask because this is what goes through my mind. This is such a question that I would want to ask you. Has there been a recipe that because I love to cook, and I would say that I cook pretty well. But when it comes to baking is such a science. I
tough.
Inevitably fuck it up. I tried to make Taylor Swift's chai cookies for breakfast this year because we had a big cookie exchange, which I would like to invite you to my annual Christmas cookie exchange this year. But I tried to make those, and I was like fucking sweating trying to set up for the party. They tasted like shit. They were horrible. They were like wet and dry at the same time. I just couldn't figure it out. Has there been any recipes that you were standing in your kitchen like, I'm gonna drive this fucking spatula through my eye right now? I can't figure it out.
Yeah, so many of them. I mean, very similar to, like, just how the gravestone is set up to be. An epitaph only has so many letters. So most of the recipes, especially when I just get the recipe itself and, like, not the full instructions. So basically, like, it's missing a lot of details. The American cookie, so, like, different than Taylor Swift's, I also had I had challenges when I tried to make it too. So you were so not alone.
Thank
you.
And
like, there's certain things of, like, just certain techniques that are just not able to fit onto a gravestone. And so I'm trying to cook it. The first time I cook it, I try to make it as close to just what it says. And usually because of that, it goes very astray. And then after the interview with the family, they're like, oh, you're supposed to do this, this, and this. So the ones that I've had the most trouble with, it was almost surprising that this one gave me so much trouble, but was a fudge recipe. So the woman Kay, who based in Utah, her recipe, what I've realized the very first time is I had an old photograph from when she was still alive and her husband passed away. So they put up their gravestones together and her gravestone went up with the recipe. So I was using that photograph, which had the incorrect measurements. And I've learned apparently it's pretty common for misspellings to happen and measurements to go awry when being carved onto a gravestone. So the family, I know, so I had the wrong measurements because I was using an old photo. The family has now corrected it. So I have the new measurements, but I was still having trouble. And it was because it just says to use milk. And so I was trying to get it with 2% milk. And then we were able to get it with evaporated milk. And I was using a candy thermometer, which her family said she didn't use it. She just had this so when you make fudge, you try to get it to something called the softball stage, which is just like a texture that you like whip it into and then it can set. And like I must have made this fudge recipe like 40 times. And the final like 4 times it was edible.
Oh my God.
It was a lot of fun. And my poor partner has had so many times where I'm like, hey, so like, I don't want to waste this food. Like, do you want to eat just this like chocolate mush that's sitting in our kitchen?
Oh, but he's probably eating good a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, for sure. We always have something.
Wait, I want to talk about your proposal with your partner. But before that, I have a question about drinking. I mean, Spencer doesn't drink. I love a drink. Have you stumbled upon any like drink recipes on headstones? And then also, I know that you've talked about the Prohibition graves, which I would love a little more info on that because that blew my mind. I'd never seen anything like that.
Oh my gosh, 2 of my favorite topics. It is, in my mind, I only know of one gravestone recipe with a drink on it, and it is in the book. And it is the gentleman, so this is the Oakland one actually, Joe Sheridan, who is credited for inventing the Irish coffee. So Joe is from Ireland, and the story goes, the legend of Joe goes that there was this plane that came into Ireland, and it was this was like olden times of travel, like early air flight days of like commercial air flight, and it was miserable, and the passengers were cold, and so they got into Limerick, and someone was like to the airport chef, like, can you make them a drink to warm up all the passengers? And he made them basically his hangover cure, which was Irish coffee. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, Irish coffee. I've never heard about that. This is the best thing I've ever had. And there was a food writer, like a very famous San Francisco food writer on the plane. And this guy went back to New York and wrote about the Irish coffee. And it became this like American sensation of Irish coffee. Even though it was just this guy just like was like, literally, I drink this for hangovers. And in San Francisco at the Buena Vista, which is now credited for, being the birthplace of the Irish coffee, the owner was like, I have to have this at my bar. So he flew Joe over to Ireland and they were able to recreate it. And they now serve like the best Irish coffee. And they actually put on his gravestone, they say he gave his recipe and the gift to the world, his Irish coffee. And so because of that, he's featured in the Gravestone Recipes book. And it's the only cocktail.
Makes me want to cry.
That's so special.
It's like a Julie and Julia story.
Yeah.
Of like, just like this random turn of events. It really is so cool. And like, I think that's what we love so much about what you do and your content is just how you marry those 2 worlds together. Because it is so unexpected. Like you said, you never would have thought putting food and death together would be this thing, but then like you hear incredible stories like this, and it's the same for us with obituaries where people are like, obituary, okay, but then which like sometimes some obituaries are boring, some suck, some you're like this person, I don't know, has never written anything before in their life, but then some you read and you get to like learn about their lives and their stories through these short paragraphs even sometimes, and you're just like, holy shit, like I feel like I know this person. Like and a recipe is so personal. It does make you feel like bonded with that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. I'm sure you guys have talked about this before, but do you have ideas of what you want in your own obituaries one day?
We waver all the time because we'll hear one that's like so scandalous and hilarious, and we're like, oh my God, I love that. But then we'll hear some that are like just written in maybe a really cool format, and we're like, okay, that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, we had to act one out a couple weeks ago. There was one that it was like the woman who passed away, it was her meeting God.
Oh my God.
But in it, like, so he had to play God. I played the woman who died, like, while we're reading it. And it's like, but it fit every detail of her life.
Wow.
In the obituary, it was like, okay, I'm God, and you did do this when you were little, and you did go to this school, and you did, like, it was very cool. So yeah, we go back and forth. Like, either we're going to be so creative, or maybe it'll be one sentence. We don't know.
Tearjerkers.
Had a really... One of my favorite obituaries we've ever done was like recently. It was like within the last month. And it was this crazy obituary for a guy. And you're reading it and you're like, oh my God, because it's saying all these different, it's coming from everyone else's point of view of like, I thought he did this for work, or he told me he did this for work. And it was basically made it sound like he was like a secret agent in the FBI because he had all these different job titles. And then like each of them talked about how he died and then at the end it was like, or they also say that he died at the hospital at this time. And it is just like one of those ones that like takes you all over the place and just fully gave us chills.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
What a legend. I am obsessed. Oh, I'm going back to listen to both of these episodes.
Yes.
That is awesome.
We have to hear about the
we have to hear about the proposal.
Oh, right.
No,
so
the
sorry.
prohibition.
Oh, the prohibition. Sorry.
Proposal and prohibition.
Yes.
They go hand in hand.
Basically the same story. Well, I'll do the prohibition one really fast because it's a shorter story. So basically, at least in our cemetery, we have these things called zinkers, and they were, I guess it was during like World War II time. Zinkers, you can find it a lot of different cemeteries across the U.S. They were prefab, so like they prefabricated. They're all fabulous, but they they were prefabricated, so they would be like mail order zinc made gravestones. So most gravestones at the time, like you're used to the white marble, which does melt. It's not very hard, and so that's unfortunate. And modern gravestones are a lot harder, made out of like granite. Zinc kind of has like a hollow sound to it, so you can literally like knock on it and tell what a zinc gravestone is. They like have this like kind of shiny tin look. I believe Hollywood Forever has one or two zinkers in them. But in any case, so in our cemetery, and what I've heard from a few other cemeteries, is because they're hollow, during Prohibition, people would exchange alcohol and money that way in them. So in Congressional Cemetery, our zinker, literally if you opened it up, it would be the space people would leave money and leave alcohol, and they would do these trades there. And DC had a huge prohibition culture anyway. So yeah, it's a fun little fun fact about zinkers.
That's so cool. I would have been hiding stuff.
Absolutely.
I would have been hiding stuff.
Yeah, it makes me want to have like an interactive gravestone somehow, because like I'm like, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Well, we see those ones with like the QR codes and stuff on them. And I think those are a really cool concept that I feel like hasn't taken off, but maybe will more in the future, because it is kind of a cool way to get to know somebody after.
Totally. Yeah, the ones that have like a video and something.
Yeah.
But I'm also, is that like just like a tech bro corporate thing? Is it going to make death really like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, there are things that are very digital about death now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm reading The Digital Side of Death right now. And it's this book that's literally going into like, will there be like AI projections of you one day at your gravestone? Totally. And like anything is technically possible. The QR codes, I've only seen broken ones, so I've never seen, like I've seen a number of them, but then whenever I scan it,
doesn't work.
Yeah, it goes to a broken website, or it goes like, this website hasn't been updated. And so it just goes to show, yeah, literally. come on. Duh, I could have told you that. So it makes me realize of like, it's like more of like a work on the person behind it. Like, you know, the family has to keep it up and like, I guess have a domain name or whatever. But it's a cool idea. Like I want it to work. So maybe one day.
Yeah.
In theory.
In theory, yes.
But you got your own headstone.
Yes, I have my own headstone from my partner. So my amazing partner, James, he has been very involved since literally day one on this whole project and has helped me research gravestone. He's our very first, so we moved to LA like 2 or 3 years ago. And our first anniversary trip was going up to visit the gravestone recipes of Northern California. So he's very used to, even though he gets it, yeah. And then we'll go to like a brewery or something normal afterwards to try to balance it out.
Yeah.
You know, just as our partners go along with this. And so my parents came to visit. I'm from DC, so my parents came to visit, and we took a trip out to Catalina Island, which has a beautiful pet cemetery at it. So I was very excited about the pet cemetery. Oh, it's so cool. You can walk to it from like the main town area. It's very DIY. It's pretty typical pet cemetery of like lots of homemade gravestones that don't even last that long. Like some of them get washed away and then new ones come in. So it's very sweet. Yeah. So we were in the pet cemetery for like 2 hours. And then my parents and him were like, oh, do you want to go to the other cemetery? Like there's like a human cemetery here. And I was like, no, I already watched a bunch of YouTubes on it. I already went through Find a Grave and like, I think I'm good. I think I want to go take a nap. And they were like, the way that all three of them got so quiet and so like dejected all at one time. And I was like, yeah, literally. And I was like, you guys, like we've already spent 2 hours in a cemetery. Like, I think we can go tomorrow or like whatever. And they're like, no, Rosie, please, but you love cemeteries. Like, why do you want to go to this one? And I was like, I mean, I do, but like, I've already looked into this one and like, I think I'm okay. I'd rather take a nap or something. And they're like, come on, Oh, please, we're only in LA one day. Like, please. And so I was like, okay.
When?
Yeah, no, literally. Yeah. So like, we go and it's like it was like so comical. Like the sun comes out and it starts getting really hot and we're walking uphill to the cemetery. And I was like, God, I just want to go to bed. I'm so hot. I'm so tired and we're already marching around and I don't want to be here. And like my like 4-year-old self comes out.
Totally, yeah.
We get to the cemetery, which is absolutely beautiful. It's so well caretaken. And, we start walking through. My parents instantly pull up their phones and start filming me. And that could have been a clue, but also I'm like, they do weird stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
they're proud, I'm
exactly.
sure.
They're like, oh, this is her thing. And they were being like very chipper about it. And so they were like, when I'd said I've never just found a gravestone recipe in the wild, which is true. But as we started walking through, there was this one gravestone that kind of looked like a zinc texture in the background. And I saw the word recipe on it. And my brain was like, oh my gosh. But then even my brat self was like, I can't prove that they're right. So I immediately walked away from it. Because I'm like, if we find a gravestone recipe here after I made a huge stink about not coming here, like I will never live this down.
You'll never live it down.
I know. As much as I'm like, wait, this is my dream. This is my actual dream. And so I like walk, and then everyone goes, oh. And then James, my partner, goes and stands next to it. And my parents are like, oh, Rosie, look over here. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. And then James goes, Rosie, I think you actually should look at this. I think you'll actually be interested in this. So I walk over and it says a recipe for love. Oh. And then my eyes go down to the bottom, which has our names on it. And my first thing my brain thinks is, James, there are 2 people buried here with our names. What is going on? Like, I could not understand. First of all,
didn't register.
We're on an island. We've been together. We physically have not, like, how is that possible? And then I started reading it, and the actual recipe is like our love story of like, just these like silly little internal things. And my brain literally broke. I could not understand how this gravestone, because it looked like a real gravestone. It like looked like an actual real gravestone in the middle of a island cemetery. And the people, so the cemetery is pretty small. There's a family that lives right next to it. They were all on their deck. They all start cheering as he gets down on one knee. So the family is what cued me in that something's going on, because I'm like, I think I'm in an alternate dimension right now.
Did the family help place the gravestone for
you? They did not, but they did watch the whole thing unfold, because I was like, how did the gravestone get you? Like, we took a boat together. Like, you have a backpack. You have no stuff. How did you get, it's a big gravestone. And then I was like, how did you do this? Like, logistically, I don't understand. And he's like, all will be revealed. And so there's this cute little like inn with a restaurant in it. And he's like, oh, we have like a table reserved with like a flower on it or whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm still like, logistically, I don't I'm also such a planner. I had planned every second of this trip for my parents coming. So I'm like, this wasn't in my Google Doc. Like, how did this happen? And we get to there and they're looking around, and we like are walking through the restaurant, and it's like 2 p.m. So like, there's no one there. And I'm like, guys, any of these tables are fine. And they're like, no. Like, we have a special spot. And then we walk through these doors in the back to like a back table, and my 2 younger brothers, my best friends from home, his mom, his brother, and his brother's fiance all pop out to say surprise.
Oh my God.
And it turned out that while we were in the cemetery, my friends and brothers had flown to LA, taken the ferry after us, because there's 4 ferries a day. They took the ferry after us, sprinted across the island, planted the gravestone, and then hid. And like, it was like a whole thing.
Oh.
I think that's probably the best proposal I have ever heard of in my life.
It was insane. It was, because I had said, like, I had asked for basically being like, I would love for, it's like fun when you have a story, even if it's like no like money has to be spent, but it's fun when you have a story, which exactly. Spencer, I would love to hear your proposal story too. Congratulations.
Anybody can say anything after.
Sorry. We were in Italy. It was great.
It was beautiful. As it should be. That was awesome.
That is truly just so incredible though. Like, the amount of effort that it made me tear up, which I'm not even that person, but I'm like, what? That is so like,
you're so loved.
You're so loved.
I felt very loved. It was the best day of my life. Yeah. Absolutely.
Probably trying to explain it to certain people that don't get, because there's people in our lives who do not fucking get. They're like, oh, so yeah,
Dad?
what do you,
Dad?
Sure, okay, you have a podcast, whatever. But like, they're like, they don't get it. So it's probably like funny explaining that story. Like, well, he made me a gravestone.
It was the best day of my life. Yeah, he proposed to me in a cemetery, and it was truly like the best day of my life. I'm on cloud 9, and it was so beautiful too, because like it was. A lot of the gravestone families reached out afterwards too, because like there's like the fun side of it, and also trying to be like, there is sensitivity. I don't want to feel like I'm like joking about anything, but it was like very moving, and there's something about seeing something in stone that just feels so special. So we have like now a giant tombstone in our apartment.
I love that. Are you wedding planning right now, or did you already get married? Or?
Yeah, we're wedding planning right now. It'll probably, because of the book being this year, so I have a lot more cemetery visits to do. So it'll be for next year. But I am looking at, there's a place I'm from Virginia. There's a place in Richmond, Virginia called the Ghost Church. And if you Google, this is so random, if you Google Jason Mraz wedding, it is one of the most beautiful. It basically, it's depressing, but it's beautiful in the end. There's this church in Richmond that has been burned down like 10 times because it's non-denominational. And they're like, everyone can worship here. And the Virginians were like, we hate that. And they kept burning it down. So eventually they just built the skeleton of the church. And so in the fall, it's literally this church skeleton, and it's all the leaves are around it. And they call it the Ghost Church because it has just this like sordid history, and it literally looks like a floating ghost in the woods.
That is incredible.
So I really want to get married there.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, venues are a hard thing to find. I was looking too, like when we started talking about, wedding stuff, I was like, it would be cool to find like a ghost town or something, like something that ties into our world. I don't know how realistic that is, but like 'cause we have so many ideas. But that is so incredible. I mean, just I don't know. That's just my favorite engagement story that I've ever.
I know. I'm gonna go yell at my husband.
Yeah, I'm gonna go yell at myself.
Why do you propose to me in a cemetery? Like a normal person.
Yeah, I want a headstone.
Do you know where? Well, first of all, I have two questions. Two-parter. Do you want to be cremated or buried, or both? And if so, do you kind of know where? Like, do you have a feeling of like probably near your family or probably out here somewhere?
Oh, great question. And I would love to hear for both of you what you're both thinking. Because, I'm actually in the process of making a TikTok on this right now. And it's like a lot more complicated than I thought it would be of like choices for like after like death planning of like, there's things called like mushroom pods these days where you put your body in a mushroom sack. And I'm like, some people were saying they're like, it's not as, whatever that they're making it out to be in the marketing. Aquamation is now becoming legal in more states, which is like cremation, but by water, which feels a lot more like environmentally friendly. Yeah. I think most likely I'll do, though, okay, so my thought up to hearing about like a super embalmed, because like now that you've said that, now I'm like, wait, that sounds so fun. But my original plan was be green burial, closed casket, and in Congressional Cemetery, which is where I started my internship. And we joked of like, is there like an intern section where I can, they put all the previous interns and bury them there. But I'm in the process of buying a plot there. My family's all in the area. It's a beautiful cemetery. James says he's down to be buried there. I'll have my gravestone recipe on one side and he can put whatever he wants on the other.
I love it.
It's beautiful, and it's a really cool cemetery. I mean, similar to LA in general is so good because some cemeteries are a little bit more closed off to visitors, which totally understandable, and it's great having so many options. But Congressional has the most exclusive list in Washington, D.C. is to be on their dog walking list. It's a 3-year waiting list to be able to walk your dog in the cemetery. And you pay a yearly fee that just helps in the upkeep of the cemetery. And they now have like all this dog friendly programming. It's very welcoming to dog walkers. Yeah, it's cool. They have a death doula. They have a book club now. They have like yoga and movie nights and like educational programming. And because of that, they're able to hire a full-time staff. So it's like a very well cared for cemetery. I'm obsessed with all of this, so I'm like, I want to be there.
Yeah. A cemetery that is staying alive.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Important.
It's so true. It's so for the living.
I know. It's very, very true. Did you hear that we covered this a few weeks ago, and I can't remember where it was, but there's a cemetery that's getting a bunch of shit right now because they made people buy VIP passes to be able to visit their loved ones after a certain time.
What? Is this in California?
I don't think it was in California, but it blew our mind. We were
That is crazy. I'm wondering if they're also allowing like a reinterment or something if people are like, I don't want to pay to visit. Because like even Forest Lawn I visited there partially because this was even before I started really getting into cemetery stuff, but like, Michael Jackson is like Audrey Hepburn. Like there's so many famous people there. And to go in, they're like, you have to be a family member, which I guess I could have lied, but I'm like, no, I don't know anyone. I just wanted to visit. So like family only as like a blocking thing totally makes sense to me rather than some random person, especially for famous people. But I don't see that's crazy to me. That's ugh. And if it's a money thing, then I feel like there's better models out there to like make money if they need to do that.
I agree. Like the dog walking one, I think that's such a smart way. And it also ensures that people aren't going to be assholes and let their dogs come in and tear up the lawn or walk around the graves and do whatever they need to do.
Literally.
But I do think it's like we've talked about some cemeteries before that are kind of like multi-purpose, and that's something that I love, and I feel like you probably would love that concept too, of like there's places where there's like cafes connected to cemeteries and stuff, and it's
golf
like
courses.
Golf
courses.
Oh yeah,
We'll
no,
never
it's
trump
so
through
true.
Yeah.
Ivana or whatever.
I think that was a tax loophole. But...
Yeah.
Wait, that's so funny. Does Ivana have a golf cemetery? Because that would be hilarious.
Yeah, she's
They
buried
buried
at
her.
like the first hole
of a cemetery.
of one of the Trump golf
my
courses.
gosh.
Yeah.
You know, nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah, no.
She wants to get certain people to get really aggressive at the hole when they can't get the ball in, and remember her. Well, I think it is interesting too, yeah, because like I mean, I get tons of different comments of people being like, I think it's disrespectful to go to cemeteries. I don't think you should go there, and I definitely think like there's a real thing of cemetery etiquette, such as like paying to have to visit your loved ones feels crazy to me.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, yeah, being respectful, following the rules of whatever is posted. But outside of that, the whole concept of like, I don't think you should visit cemeteries is very detrimental to the cemetery. And this is specifically coming, so I'm from DC. We have lost a lot of cemeteries because of that mindset. And worst case scenarios, we've lost a lot of Black and other minority group cemeteries because there is this whole idea of like, you can't visit them, you can't do anything. And so they stopped being visited, they stopped being cared for, the records were eventually lost, and then they were bulldozed, turned into a parking lot in one case.
Yeah.
There's one cemetery that's they're doing so much good work to like recover the records and like maintain their space, but they are having to fight tooth and nail just to maintain their own space, and it's because the community isn't connected to it. And it's so... Yeah, it's a very difficult, and so congressional specifically was like this back during the Prohibition days when people were like bootlegging in the zinkers. The cemetery was derelict. It was overgrown. The cemetery gravestones were falling apart. They had no staff. And so eventually them letting in the community is what saved the cemetery. Now it's well taken care of. They have a preservationist. They have an archivist. They have like a whole army of people to take care of the place and care about it. And that's what's going to keep it around for a lot longer. So yeah, this whole repurposing thing I think is so important.
Well, that's like that. I mean, the closest thing to us like that is Hollywood Forever, and
yeah,
I know that like we know the history of it, and it was in disarray for a long time, and then in the 90s they those brothers, I don't remember their names,
yeah,
they came and
Cleaned
fixed it up, and now it with Cinespia and like the movies and concerts.
The lodge is there too, for the concerts and stuff.
Yeah.
It makes it so special.
They do a lot of and like for people who don't want that, like if you all ever take Carrie Bible's tour, she's the Hollywood Forever tour guide there right now. And she's talked about like, some people come there and they don't want all of that. They don't want there to be movies where their dead person is buried. And that's fine. Like it's nice to have options because like you can have like the quiet in the middle of nowhere, very small plot cemetery and like be at peace. And if that's meaningful to you, amazing. And some people are like, I want to be in a place that people are visiting and like someone walk past me and read the name of my stone. And it's very much of the idea of like, what is it? You die twice the last time someone says your name. Or when you actually die and then the last time someone says your name. And like cemeteries might be that place. So yeah, I love what Hollywood Forever Cemetery is doing, even if it's not for everybody.
Yeah, totally. And God, it's expensive. If I could be buried there, I would.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, now that they have that new, like, I don't know, like apartment style building I need to go visit that because I've been watching it go up. It's right in our neighborhood. So I was slowly watching it come out and the new high rise, it looks pretty nice.
Yeah. We want to come visit it with you. I feel like that.
Let's do it. Wait, I would love that. Yeah, we can go to visit some of our favorite gravestones. There are so many good ones. And David Lynch just got put there too.
Know.
Which is very
and then
cool.
we'll go to Swingers.
We'll go to Swingers and get some dip.
Sounds like a pretty iconic.
I'm obsessed with this. Let's absolutely do that.
I love it. So Spencer talked about this doesn't have anything to do with headstones, but it's pretty fucking wild, and maybe we could add it to our day.
This isn't the one that HBO has covered recently, is it?
Yes.
Okay, everyone on TikTok is talking about this place. Oh my goodness. Okay.
We brought it up. We've never heard of it before.
Because we went to the Lamb Funeral Home like a couple years ago, and it was in like an electrical shop at the time. And so we were like, can we come back and tour it? And they were like, yeah, but then they closed it down, and I guess now it's operating as an escape room.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Wild. Yes.
But it was
Okay,
like
I kind of want to go.
I know. We love an escape room.
We do.
But it was like a crematory from hell. Like they wouldn't embalm or they wouldn't, what would they not do?
They were like doubling up on bodies.
Yeah,
And
right.
the retort, they would like, the guys like throwing fucking 20 bodies in there at once. So it's
Oh
getting
my
like
God.
partially cremated, partially not. There was like remains all over the place. But it's in a beautiful like Pasadena Spanish building. And we joked before about like, we want to buy it. If it ever goes
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's just so much talk about it going on right now.
That is so crazy. I mean, you probably all are starting to meet, there's a lot of wild death industry. Like the death industry is such a strange place, and maybe because there is so many taboos, a lot of characters. Like, God, a lot of characters.
Yeah.
Okay, so remind everyone where they can find you, like socials, everywhere.
You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Ghostly Archive. I'm slowly setting up a website, and the book is currently available to pre-order on HarperCollins if you look up To Die For, a cookbook of gravestone recipes.
And we will link it for you guys.
Yeah.
We will link it for you guys as well in the show notes for today's episode, and be sharing it obviously when we get our coffee, because I'm just so excited for this book. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was like the best.
This was so much fun. You two are awesome. I'm obsessed.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
We're obsessed with you.
We are.
We love you.
The obsession is mutual.
Let's go hang out in a cemetery and, eat cookies.
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of planning to do. We have a
Yes.
lot of dates.
Yeah.
Lots of dates.
We have a
Lots of
whole
dates.
day we're working on.
Yeah.
Thanks again to Rosie, aka Ghostly Archive, for joining us on the episode today. We are so excited for her new book to come out. Make sure you go and pre-order it. It really helps people out, and you want to help people like Rosie out. And don't worry, we'll be back next week for some more coffin spinners
And obituaries.
and dumb
Ask
criminals. Goodbye.